Time to do this a little bit old school with a GoPro. We'll leave that there so I can make sure I have everything in focus. And what are we doing? We're going to be sending this scope, the Razor HD 1-6E, back to Sparks. So the reason why I'm making this video is a very long time ago I had ordered a pancake lens for my Canon on eBay, like 6 or 7 years ago. And it came in a box that was way too big, and it had, I'm not joking, this much insulation in it, this much packing insulation, and no box for the lens, just this in a box that was a foot square. And I pick up the box and it's rattling around in there, and I go, oh god, it's destroyed. It was not, but it was disheartening. So since then, I've actually been pretty lucky with ordering stuff online and buying things used and seeing how they come packaged. I've been pretty fortunate. But I had just recently bought off eBay a Trijicon AccuPoint 1-4 with a American Defense quick release mount. And it came in a postage box from the post office that was, you know, a good sized box, thinking that it would also come in its original box, but it didn't. It came just as this scope is here right now, but wrapped in paper towels. And I lost my cool, to say the least. I was not very happy about that, especially for the price I paid. It was not what I wanted to see, and I'm sure you wouldn't want that either if you were buying something used or having something shipped halfway across the country or halfway across the world, depending on where you live. So I want to make this video just to help people understand the importance and how to properly ship a scope. So we have a couple of different things going on here. First we have the box, then we have the scope. Why are they apart, or why is this not in there? Because this, with its mount, does not fit in there. Not the end of the world, we just have to make sure that we work around that. So first thing we're going to need is a box, but let me finish going over what we got. So the box for the scope itself, you always need a pair of scissors. This is not the packing slip, but this is how large I have both of our addresses on it, so I'm going to be using this for reference. Clear packaging tape, which I actually only ever use now for this, because I use masking tape for bubble wrap, and then I use Sure tape for sealing up the box. I never had really good success with using clear packaging tape for wrapping up a box. It was just something that I was never fortunate with. It always seemed to peel off at the ends, and I didn't care for that. This stuff is not, it's strong adhesive, but you don't have to wet this. I still do have it, but I don't use it anymore. It had to be, the glue had to be activated with water, so because I don't have the dispenser, I'd lay it out, wet paper towels, and wipe it down, and then put it on, and the glue got everywhere. It was really great. It was really strong. It was fiber reinforced. This is not. This is just paper bags, but it works really well with sticking to cardboard, as you will see later. Right along from this, you will see a plethora of different sized bubble wrap. So we have small bubble wrap, we have large individual bubble wrap, and then we have this cool cellular bubble wrap, which is all interlinked, so it doesn't pop. It all just flows one into the other. This is my favorite stuff, but I will show you as why later. So all this is great and fine and dandy, but we need to put it in the box. So the box that Sparks had sent was a good size box, but it was a little bit ratty on the outside, and I wanted to use a box that looked a little bit more presentable going back to him. So this is obviously a repurposed Amazon box. All the old labels have been removed. As much of the old tape has been removed to prevent the other tape from sticking. I mean, so if you leave the old tape, sometimes the new tape doesn't stick, so I removed it. The box is in good shape, and these are pretty sturdy boxes. This is your standard weight box. I am going to be reinforcing the bottom, but we'll be doing all that reinforcement at the end. Right now, we're going to take a look at inside the box. And I'm sorry for the lighting. This is not less than ideal, but this is what I have the first thing I'm going to do is figure out where I'm actually going to put the box itself. Because this is empty, I don't have to worry so much about this being sloshed around and having things move. However, the key to all of this is thinking smart and positioning everything so that it's not going to move. Movement allows things to shift. Things that shift can then get smashed into one end and get damaged. So that's the last thing we want, is to have things get shifted. So as you can see, the box fits in there pretty snugly, but there's still some room on the end. So I'm going to take this thin bubble wrap and I'm going to wrap this box with it, and then I'm going to stuff it in the end so this way it's nice and secure. Now, the box isn't that critical, but it is an important part of owning something, because without box and papers, a very expensive watch could be worthless. So making sure you take the time and do this right is important. So why do I have the masking tape out? I have the masking tape out because it's much easier to pick up on bubble wrap. So when he gets this in the mail, he knows exactly where the tape is and can cut it, as opposed to clear wrap, which you can't see, but it's all along this edge and you just can't see it. So I use masking tape because you can see it. It's as simple as that. No other fancy reason other than that. So I'm going to put 3 pieces on there. Again, this isn't really that, you wouldn't think it's critical, but to me it is. So we got a good belly on that. It's going to fit right there in the corner. And I'm now going to get some smaller pieces. Not this. This is actually a nice bag. I don't know if I'm going to use that, but I'm going to cut some pieces out of this gigantic roll I have and stuff it in the sides. See, masking tape. Now, I don't need that much. Just enough to at least get the box here, and then the rest that's coming off the sides, who cares? You can rip this, but cutting it just seems a little bit easier. So this is going to be a little bit tricky, I reckon, on the other side. But we'll get it. Wow, I put a lot of masking tape on this. It's alright. The good thing about masking tape is, oh, nope. The sometimes good thing about masking tape is you could repurpose it, but this is garbage. No biggie. Alright, I'll leave the smaller piece on there. That's about the same size. Alright. Sparks, I'm sorry for not cleaning off this bubble wrap any better. And away we go. There we have it. So right now, as you can see, that box is not moving anywhere. So we don't have to worry so much about that getting damaged. Another nice thing about having the bubble wrap on all 4 sides of the box, or at least being in contact with 4 sides, is if the box takes a hit to the corner, we have a good air gap in there, so that this way the box itself doesn't get damaged. So obviously I'm not going to wrap this as much as I would wrap the scope, or as we're going to. So let's get right onto that now. In an ideal world, the best way to do this would be to take the scope, put it in the box, package the box like that, but much more OCD. Put it in the very center of the box, wrapped on all sides with bubble wrap, preferably. But because this is going to be a 2-part process, we can't do that. So the box takes the least amount of priority, goes in the bottom left. The scope is going to go as high in the middle of this section as possible, and the rest is just going to get filled in with probably the big cells. Oh, is that my cuppy? Where you want? Meow. Meow. Scope's going to go over here. This is just going to get filled up. So because this can't fit in there, we got to make it work. You're so cute. Where are you going? Oh. Oh. Okay, stay. Scope's going to go over here. This void's going to get filled up. I do not like using packing peanuts, especially if you don't pack them in there really, really tight. The reason for that is there is an air gap in there, and then things can shift around. I don't like things shifting. The key to accuracy is consistency, whereas the key to precision is consistency. Meow. She agrees. So right off the bat, make sure everything's going to stay nice and tight. Also, make sure your illumination is off. You don't want to be sending this thing with your illumination on. God forbid it heats up, sets fire to the box, and then oops, it's gone. No problems there. So, now that we have a game plan, sort of, we're going to wrap this thing up. Now, I'm going to wrap this up better than how the person that I bought the Trijicon wrapped it up, but that's because I'm a little bit more OCD, and I actually care. So, oh, by the way, Sparks did send this very packed extremely well, and so did Cole. Cole sent his burris really, really well. I tried filming a segment like this with Cole's burris RT6 to send back to him, so this way he had proof that I had packaged it properly. That video did not come out great at all. Everything was off as far as the crop factor, the brightness, everything. It was a bad video, but this was packaged pretty well. So he had repurposed another Amazon bag. This one has, as you can see, bubble wrap in it. He slipped the scope inside all the way, and then he rolled it. And honestly, I'm probably going to reuse this. But what happens if you don't have this bag or a bag like this? What are you going to do? Well, you would then take bubble wrap like this. You want to make sure that you have cells that are going to last, and you wrap it up like you're making a sushi roll. Not to say I'm a sushi chef, but you wrap it up really tight. Then you tape up the outside. Then you tape up the ends. Because if you don't tape up the ends, what do you think is going to happen if this thing decides it wants to shift around a little bit? This is going to slide completely out and get destroyed. We do not want that happening. But you would do this, and I would fill this, I would wrap this up probably another 2 times and get it to the point where it just barely fits inside the box, because I want there to be pressure on this at all times. But Sparks was nice enough to send it in this envelope, so we're going to send it right back in there for him. Again, like you're making a sushi roll or a big burrito. It depends on what you're in the mood for. I already ate, so I'm not that hungry. But again, I'm going to tape up everything. And with this, I'm going to make it nice and tight. Going to go at least once around, so this way the tape doesn't come off of it, come off the packaging. Tape sticks better to itself. I'm pulling this a little bit too tight. Tape typically sticks better to itself than it does other packages, unless you're using clear tape, in which case sometimes it doesn't. Now, I would normally tape the ends, but because this is a closed envelope, I'm not going to bother with taping this. But this is really good. This is a good solid base. It's nice and tight. It's not going to shift, and there's plenty of bubble wrap around that. However, we still have a huge void to fill. I want this to sit right around here in the middle of this cavity. That way, it's going to be the most protected from everything that's going on around it. So you could just fold this stuff up and place it down at the bottom, and then make a little nest like so. And honestly, that's probably going to be okay. But I'm going to wrap it. Keeping in the theme, I want to ensure that this is not going to get displaced. Looks pretty centered. Now, I do realize that it looks like I'm using a lot of tape, and I am. I am using a lot of tape, but I also want to make sure that nothing gets destroyed in transit. Yet again, because I care. This roll of masking tape was less than $1, I think. So I don't mind using a whole lot of it. So this is base level number 2. And we're getting there. There's still some slop side to side, but I think for that, we're going to be able to just shove stuff in the sides. I think now, because we have this properly secured, I'm going to switch on to these. So these are obviously repurposed from other Amazon shipping boxes. Also, keep in mind, some of them do go flat. Don't reuse those. I'm going to lay them down here like a bed of lettuce on calamari. Keep on talking in food today. Scope's going to get laid on top of it. Look at that. Beautiful. Nice and tight, very little wiggle. And once we secure this box and we close this, press this, pull this in nice and tight, nothing's going to get shifted over here. So I do think I can, actually, you know what? I think that's going to be perfect. That's right about in the middle of the box. I do want more of the packaging to be on the bottom than on the top, because usually wherever you put the packing label, the shipping label rather, it's going to be the top. So I am going to put a little bit more down at the bottom. I think this ought to do it. Perfect. That's exactly where I want it. Scope's in the middle of this burrito, right in the middle of the cavity. I have some room on this side to stuff it, and then some room on this side, and then the top. I want this thing to have a slight bulge to it from how tight everything is in there. Gonna shove these in the side, see if that'll work. That's gonna be perfect, absolutely perfect. And then I got these big ones, which could probably go over here. At least 2, 3. Oh, beautiful! This is looking awesome. And I probably will just use these for the rest of the top, because typically the top might not suffer as much damage as the bottom. Oh, nope. See, this one's full. This one's deflated, so I'm not using this. All right, I'm not using this one either. Wait. I got some more of these. These were some of the original airbags used from Sparks when he sent this down. Now, I do not mind using these when you're able to lay them on top and get them really nice and tight like this. This way you know that they're not going to shift. And yes, I know this might this might look a little OCD, but how would you feel if you were Sparks and you go open up this box and you see how much time and effort went into actually packaging this? It's not just a, oh well, screw it, I don't care, I got my money, let them deal with it. This is honor, this is pride. This is absolutely perfect. Oh, he was nice enough to also write Fragile all over the box, which is great. I have stickers for that, which I'm going to be plastering this thing with at the very end. Also, when I ship out the scope and they ask if there's anything fragile in there, you always say yes. And when you say, they usually ask you what it is, I always say it's a camera lens, a very expensive camera lens. People usually don't look at you funny, but that's just the world that we live in. Okay, so this is looking fantastic. I want there to be a little bit of a bulge when we go to close this up, and as you can see, I have to force this closed, and if we get it temporarily, I shift this, not a sound. This thing is properly secure in there. We don't have to worry about anything shifting around. And there's enough air bags in here so that if this thing does get dropped or does have something slam on it, it should absorb all the energy as opposed to going into either the box or the scope itself. This is perfect. I would not ask for, well, first off, I couldn't do a much better job than this, but I also wouldn't ask a better job from anyone that I bought a scope from. But this would honestly not take me more than 10 minutes if I was doing this off camera, and It really shows. You if you send this across the country or wherever, even down the street, it's going to show that you actually cared, and that's more than anything. So now comes the fun part. It's securing the box. Now, if you don't have Sure Tape, let me clean this area up a little bit. If you don't have Sure Tape, you probably have clear packaging tape like this. Again, I don't like using this because I don't find this sticks to cardboard all that good. The Sure Tape does, but if you don't have this, use this, and I would of course go all the way around horizontally first, or widthwise, just to ensure that the box stays tight, and then wrap the outside. But that's just me being crazy, but you want to do a good job, that's how you do it. However, I don't just have clear packaging tape, I have the Sure Tape. So I'm going to depressurize this for a little bit, and I'm going to try to wrap this as tight as I can. Come to about here. Now you can rip this, but if I have a pair of scissors handy, I can just cut it as well. Now, look at this. Look how nice and flat that's down there. You really got to dig at it to pull off this tape, which is why I love it. It also looks remarkably like the same color as most cardboard. In fact, a lot of shooters use the smaller version of this tape to plug up holes on IPSC targets. Now, just as a demonstration purpose, let's see how difficult this would be to pull off on a very similar section. This is ripping up the entire cardboard. This is doing it too, but you see how easy that came off? If I did that with this, it would rip off the entire top layer of the cardboard. So I'm actually going to leave this little section on. And again, this is why I don't use this for the important stuff. And you know what? Neither does UPS or Amazon or any other big company. They use this water-activated glued Sure Tape that's fiber reinforced. And the reason for that is it's just better. Once we have a strip going across the width of the box, now we're going to go over the length of the box. Now, because I'm using this Sure Tape, I do not have to go fully around, which is nice. This stuff isn't that expensive either. There's going to be a link to it in the description, but I want to make sure I go over at least half the width of the box, or half the height of the box down, just to ensure proper adhesion. And then I'm going to go right in the middle and pull it as tight as I can, because again, the tighter you pull this, the less wiggle room there's going to be inside. And just like that, that would honestly be enough to ship this. I would feel perfectly confident with that, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to give it just a slight overlap, not a lot, probably about a 1/4 inch. I'm not going to go as far down on the sides because I don't need to. Beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous, darling. Again, about a 1/4 inch overlap to the middle piece. Pull it nice and tight. If you can see the white under your fingernail, you know you're pulling it tight. In fact, that's how Ryan Kleckner knows if you're gripping a rifle too tight, is if your fingertips, your fingertips under your nails are starting to turn white like that. You know, he knows that you have too tight of a grip on a stock. So there you go. Now this is absolutely perfect. I don't even need to go on the sides because this tape is not coming off. However, the bottom only has one piece of fiber tape going across it, and even though it's good enough for Amazon shipping a very light, inexpensive package, for me it's not. So I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to reinforce the sides like I just did with the top. About a 1/4 inch overlap. Cut down. 1/4 inch overlap. Cut and down. I think this is 50 something yards, 2-inch by 55 or 60 yards. I think it's like $7-ish. Don't quote me, even though I just told you what it should be. But this is more than enough to do at least 5 of these packages, probably even more than 5 of these packages. So for me, that's an absolute worthwhile investment. This stuff is super cheap, and you buy this in a big bulk pack, but I don't need to buy this in the bulk pack anymore, considering I only use this for addresses. So I'm going to put this on part of the box that's going to be in the worst possible shape, just so I can cover it up, make it look a little bit better, because presentation is more than half. You go to a job interview wearing ratty clothes, more than likely you're not going to get it. You walk up in a nice freshly pressed suit and people are at least going to respect you a little bit more. Same thing happens with this. I'm probably going to put the slip in the top right corner. This way I'm going to be shipping this via USPS. They have plenty of space on top and on the sides to put their shipping label as well. So off to the side, I don't like putting it right in the middle, because you know what happens when you put it right in the middle? You have to cut through it unless you open it from the bottom. And if you want to keep an address intact, you put it up and off to the side. You don't have to worry about that happening. Now I'm not going to put it all the way to the top, because I want to make sure that the tape that I'm going to be running is going to go across the top to completely water seal this in case it gets wet. So a little bit of OCD-ness kicking in there. Obviously I'm not going to be using this, but I'm going to show you at least how it's going to be orchestrated. So you take your tape, and I would typically do one in the middle first, like this, wrap it at least 2 inches on either side, then one overlapping the middle tape. Whoops. Okay, I wasn't expecting that, but we could turn that into our advantage. And then one overlapping the top, just like that. That's going to guarantee that at least guarantee that your shipping information isn't going to leave the box, which is kind of important, I would say. So we're not done yet. I forgot to get them, but I have little fragile stickers, and I'm literally going to plaster this thing in stickers. So hold on. Voila. So I picked these up on Amazon again. I think they're 500 in a roll, or 2 rolls, and they're really cheap. Now I didn't want something too big, because I sometimes ship out much smaller boxes. I wanted to make sure it was going to fit. So that's why I picked these up. And the nice thing is they're so inexpensive that you can just use as many as you want per side of the box. Notice that I'm going to be sticking these directly to the cardboard, because I feel that, again, the glue is going to adhere better to the cardboard than probably the tape. And guess what? If you're not too sure, put more. But I like these. They're a decent size, they're legible, and they're bright red, which on a brown surface such as a shipping box like this, it is very clear and legible, and it stands out. Whenever you have something that you want to be noticed, make sure it's contrasting in colors at least. Now I know this is the bottom, but guess what? Things sometimes flip upside down. And because this is a much larger surface area over here, it gets 2, and the same thing is going to go for the top. Got all those sides. Yep. So my shipping label is going to go up here. So I'm going to combat it by putting one here and one here. And we're basically done. Or are we? You see, getting a package to this level does require a fair amount of processing power. You have to at least be coherent about the dangers of shipping things back and forth. But that's only at this level. You have to also worry about the carrier and their level. And one way that you can at least defeat that is, well, I'm going to segue this into my Trigicon experience, which is less than stellar, but you have to make sure that this is at least going to be trackable. So you always want to put tracking on your package, but not just tracking, you also want to put insurance on it. This is going to get insured for $1,700, and that's because everything inside the box is valued at least $1,700. But then I also want to add a signature. So a signature is absolutely important because it means that whatever carrier you decide to ship this with, whether it be USPS, FedEx, UPS, DHL, whoever else, they will not leave the package on the premises if there's no signature. They will bring it back to their facility, and it's much more protected at their facility than it is outside of your door when you're not home for 8 to 10 hours a day when you're working. Or what happens if it comes on a weekend that you're away? Not cool. Definitely put a signature on this. Again, going back to the Trigicon story, came in a USPS box. I don't know if it was insured. It had about 40 stamps on it. I don't care about the stamps. I don't care how you pay for it. But it did not have signature. It was told. I got my confirmation email at 6 o'clock at night that it was delivered. I was home at that time. I opened my door, nothing. And I live in a complex. It's a pretty big community, about 500 units. So I go, oh cow, it was delivered? I run downstairs, I don't see it. It's not outside my door. I go outside, I don't see it. I check both eBay, I check with USPS Direct. Both say that it was delivered at so-and-so date, at so-and-so address. I look everywhere. I go absolutely crazy because it's late at night. It was just starting to rain. What happens if the package was left outside? What happens if someone stole it? What happens if it was delivered somewhere else? So I spent about a good hour and a half going around looking for this package. You know what happened? USPS didn't deliver it. It was still at their facility. It was delivered the next day. There was no signature required, and that's a problem. If there was a signature required, I would have gotten a sticker on my door that says, hey, we tried to deliver it. It's at the facility. Fine. I don't care if it's an inconvenience for me to have to get to the facility, as long as I know my package is safe and sound there. No one's going to steal it inside their facility. Well, I can't say no one's going to steal it inside their facility, but there's a much greater chance that it's going to be more protected at the facility than outside your door, especially in today's day and age where you have people doing stupid shit all the time. So, tracking, insurance, and signature required. When I go over to USPS, I'm going to make sure all three of those are on this package. I'm going to keep the receipt. I'm going to send the tracking information directly to Sparks immediately so he has it. Once he does, he can then verify when it's going to come. He can make sure he's home. If not, he'll at least get the letter on his door saying to go pick it up, and it can be had. The Trigicon experience was less than stellar. I didn't... It showed up. It was okay, so I didn't really bash the guy too hard, but it does happen, and that's still your responsibility. You have to make sure that you add on those extra tickets, because if this thing gets lost in the mail, it's my responsibility. It's my fault. And how do you think I would feel if one of my patron supporters that was kind enough to send me his scope had it lost in the mail because of something I did? It would be heart-wrenching, so I do not want that to happen. Anyway, a bit of a story time there. The box is completely packaged. I'm very satisfied with how it looks. We have a fragile on every spot, double on the top and bottom because it's a big area. I'm going to put my packing label here. And that is basically it. So now you know how to package a scope properly, or a camera lens, rather anything that's glass fragile and you're going to be shipping anywhere into the country or around the world. We listen to this box again. The only thing you hear is some of the paperwork inside the box being jiggled around, but there's nothing we could really do about that. And this is it. This is ready to go. Off to the races. Thank you very much for watching. Sparks, again, thank you so much for sending this out to me. And see you again next time.